Hi, I'm Ben. Welcome to my book corner. It's a Tuesday, so we have a tag, and the stars have aligned. Oh, it is also New Year's Eve. Not when I'm recording this, but when this goes up, it'll be New Year's Eve. So, why not do the Ringing in the New Year book tag? 8 prompts. We did this last year. Let's dive straight in with question number 1: the best book, books, or series that you've read in 2024. So last year, my book of the year was Sunbearer Trials. My book of this year is book 2, Celestial Monsters, which completed the duology. I like how this follows on with the darker framing from book 1. I like the personal journeys all the characters go on. I like the fact this is a dual POV as well, with 2 chapters at a time from Tio, and then one from, my brain has just completely shut down, give me a second, one from Zhao each time. So you have the different perspectives. I like the minor crisis of faith and self-confidence that these previously incredibly confident characters go through. The fact they come to terms with the fact that they can't fix everything themselves and they need to work together and get help. And also the question of legacy and birthright versus self-determination and personal will is an interesting one to look at, especially right now as there's so much pressure on young people. And I think that's really interesting dynamic throughout the book. I love the ending and how normal it is as well. Favourite book of the year. I'm excited for what Aidan Thomas brings us next, which I believe is Cemetery Boys 2. Number 2, authors that you've discovered this year and would like to read more from. We have read a lot of indie this year, so we're going to focus on indie. So I've got a list of 10 authors I want to read more stuff from. Luke Tarzian is up first. So they are the author of one of my favourite books of the year, which is A Cup of Tea at the Mouth of Hell. That book really took me by surprise. It was not what I expected it to be. Absolutely loved it. I cannot wait to dive into more of their stuff. I know they have a new one due out now, or has just come out, one or the other. It's due very soon anyway, which is part of a series, so I do need to dive into that once my Read What You Own challenge is finished. Rex Burke, we've spoken about before on the channel. I've read all his books now. I cannot wait for his next one, which I believe involves space marines of some sort. Tori Tekken authored The Bloodstorms, which is one of the most interesting epic fantasies I've read in a long time. Can't wait for book 2 of that. I also have Phase, which they wrote, on my Kindle, which I need to get around to. C.M. Kaplan, the author of The Fall Is All There Is, has a new one out next year, which I think is the follow-up. I've also recently realised, and I'm sure I wasn't on Goodreads previously, they have another couple of books out, which are really hard to get here in the UK. So I'm going to try and find a way of getting hold of them. Adam Holcomb, the author of Necromancer Called Gam Gam series. Nice, wholesome fantasy. Can't wait to see what they fetch out next. Danny Finn, of course. Read a few books by them this year. They're generally a bit more spicy than what I read, but I love the writing style. I love the wholesome messaging throughout the books that I've read so far as well. So looking forward to diving more into their back catalogue. Ian Young, who was the author of The Autumn Tom that I read through Your Paper Quest earlier this year. Absolutely phenomenal book. It took a bit of time to get going, but once it did, it hooked me so hard. Recently had a short story collection come out back in, I think it was August, which I've read. So I can't wait to see what they've got lined up for next. We then have Timothy Wolf. So I read their short story, The Whisper That Replaced God, which is an amazing cover and an amazing title. It was an amazing novella. I know they have full series out there. I have one of the books. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Can't wait to get to that next year. G.M. Nair, who is the author of the Duckett and Dyer series. Absolutely loved book 1. I've only read it recently. Looking forward to following on further with their adventures. And Steve Hugh Westenra, who is the author of the erstwhile Tyler Kyle, which was a queer horror that I read recently. Really enjoyed that. I know they have another absolute chonker of a book. I can't for the life of me think what it's called. But there's a chonker that's out there which I haven't got yet, which I need to pick up, which I'm looking forward to. And I'm interested to see if it has a similar sort of challenge of so many different plot threads and how well it twists them all together like Tyler Kyle did. So they're the ones I'm really looking forward to next year, but I've discovered so many authors this year that I can't mention all of them. Number 3, best book turned movie / TV adaptation in 2024, or most anticipated adaptation. Sorry, rephrase that. Yeah, no, best anticipated adaptation for 2024 are both. I don't watch much on TV and films, so I can't really answer that. Yeah, I don't really pay much attention to all that, if I'm completely honest. Number 4, have your reading habits changed at all this year? And have you gotten into any new genres? I've read more romance this year. I've read more erotica this year. I've read more horror as well and less sci-fi, and I'm not quite sure why that is. In terms of my reading habits, I've just read a lot more than I normally, or ever have done, I should say. I've never read as much as I have this year. I don't expect to read the same amount next year, realistically. It's just become my preferred form of consuming media has been books, whereas other times it's been a fight between books and video games. This year has been all about books. Favorite ship, romantic or platonic of the year, or new favorite character? That's a tough one. I think the most interesting character was Kazbrecker from Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I just like how they are well portrayed for being smarter than those around them, but still fallible. But it doesn't feel like the book telling us how smart they are and then pulling the rug from under us consistently and breaking the character. I think I'm going to go for that one. There's so many amazing characters that I've read this year, though. Also, a special shout out to Jordan and the AI, whose name is now escaping me. It used to be called Omnio. Can't remember the Reeves. There we go. From the Odyssey Earth series, and their friendship together, their kind of bromance was absolutely amazing. That's from Rex Burks' Odyssey Earth series. Number 6. Have you started planning your TBR for 2025, and how many books do you hope to read? I don't expect to read as much next year, so my target is going to be set at 60 books. There's a few reasons for this. I have a change in job role, so I will have less free time to read, and also I will have more money, which means I'm going to be investing in my PC, and there's a few games I want to play which is going to eat into my reading time. In terms of my TBR, I haven't got anything particularly set in stone. I've not really looked at new releases or anything. I'm currently just working through my reading backlog, so we'll see what comes up. There is a few new releases that are coming out next year which I'm excited for, but nothing is set in stone as yet. The only thing that is leads into the next question, which is number 7. Will you participate in any reading challenges or readathons next year? And we are doing a Wheel of Time reread. Myself and Elaine over at Cobalt Dragon, and a number of other people joining in as well, many of them for the first time reading the series. And the aim is to read one Wheel of Time book a month until we've gone through the entire series. So I've got an announcement video there for that one if you want to take part in that. That starts on January the 1st with book 1, which I think is The Eye of the World. Yeah, I have to double check because my book 1 is actually split into 2 books, because of course it is. So that's the only one I definitely have locked down. I'll probably do Don't Die July again with Noah if he's up for it, but we'll have to wait and see how the year spans out. And number 8, any New Year's resolutions or goals? Just to keep enjoying reading and to try and maintain the level of balance that I have found. There's a few videos I want to do that I would call think pieces. We already have one to do with the dystopian future of book publishing. I have a few other things that I want to talk about over the course of the year, so I'm looking forward to doing those. Other than that, not really. I don't like to think too far ahead because life is so changeable. Might try and do a vlog at some point. I said that last year. It didn't really happen, so there we go. But the intention is still there to at some point try to do this. More buddy reads as well. Obviously, I have the one for Wheel of Time. I think I'm going to be buddy reading Onyx Storm, the next to the Imperium books as well. And I'm sure I've got other buddy reads coming up. I know I'm potentially going to be reading something with Baddies Rad at some point, amongst others as well. Also, more reading sprints. I'm hoping to be able to do at least a couple every month and do them consistently. But again, work has changed, so we're just going to have to see how that balance looks. But there we go. That's it. That's my ringing in the New Year book tag for 2024 into 2025. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next year.